morning, everybody. My name is Ann Rossley. I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Kyle Harvey. We're with Beard and Warner, and we sell real estate in downtown Chicago. We come to you each week talking about what's happening in the downtown real estate market. We call it Monday Morning Coffee with Kyle and Dan. Thank you for watching. If you're watching us live, please send us love in your comments. If you're watching us on replay, either on Facebook or our YouTube channels, be sure to subscribe and send us questions so we can include those in future shows. Good morning, Kyle.
I am uncaffeinated, so I'm going to be a little bit slower than Ann this morning.
Well, we'll get you going on these topics, won't we? For sure. How was your weekend? Good weekend?
It was a very nice weekend, other than the rain. And,
Yeah.
Lovely. How about you?
Good weekend. Used yesterday to do a reorg and get organized for the upcoming week, and excuse me, had my open house on Saturday, so lucked out weather-wise, so that was awesome. Everybody, today we're going to do our typical stats first thing, followed by a really interesting topic. We're going to look at open houses upside down, forwards, backwards, and inside out. We're going to look at it from the point of view of the seller, from the buyer, and what else? Just everything that we can think of to talk about open houses, right?
And from an agent's perspective, what agents should be doing, new agents. So this is all part of our educating new agents segment.
Exactly right. All right. So I need to remove our names and then go right to stats. So give me 1 second to share the screen here, everybody. We're going to do a really quick look. Since we're at the end of the month and we've looked at it both from the lakefront areas and from townships, we're just going to go through a quick redo to recap you on what's going on. Median sales price of $395 on condominiums is no change. We've been that way for quite a long time. But, oh, I didn't change my number here. 10 years ago, the median sales price was $276 versus $395 today. So we have seen an increase. And I should mention this is for lakefront neighborhoods. Number of units for sale today is 3,449. Compare that to September of 20 when we were coming off of COVID, when we had 6,128. So our inventory is substantially lower.
Yes.
Excuse me. All right. Condos under contract in June, 954. Compare that to 1 year ago today, where we had 1,304 go under contract during the month of June. Number of closed condos in the lakefront communities, 1,517 versus 1 year ago, where we had 1,746 closed during the month of June. Year-to-date sales, January through June, this is a 6-month number. 7,332 condos have closed. Compare that to 7,403 last year, almost the same. Last year we were up 81%. This year we're actually down 1% through the first 6 months.
Of a rocket year. So still
of a rocket year.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly right. Okay. So month supply of condominiums for sale. You can see we were almost up to 8% in September of 2020. We're climbing a little bit since the beginning of the year. However, it's still very much a seller's market at 3.2. Excuse me, a buyer's market at 3.2 months.
Seller's market. There's not enough inventory for the people who want it.
Thank you. I'm just on my first cup of coffee. Holy camole. All right, let's look at single family homes. Median sales price, $1,207,500. That's up 11.8% versus a year ago. Just a note, when I do my stats, because I am such a stats geek, sometimes I use rolling 12 months. Sometimes I use monthly. When I do median sales price, it's too up and down if I need to do a rolling 12. So this is a rolling 12 months. Up 11.8%. Compare that to 717,500 10 years ago. So a substantial increase in the median sales price of a home. Number of units for sale. There are 253 homes on the market today. That's down 35% versus June of last year. Not enough for sale. 95 homes are under contract currently. That's down 28.6 versus, this should say June of 21. And number of closed in June was 159. That's down almost 30% versus June of last year. If you're looking at number of closed single-family homes, this is the year-to-date number. 692 homes have closed since the beginning of the year. Compare that to last year, January through June, we had 813,000. 813. I don't know why I'm sneaking in that thousand there.
Yes, she's continuing to cough.
Give me some caffeine versus 407 the year before that, the year of the COVID. All right, 2.3 months worth of homes for sale. That's down 23.3% versus last year. And then I wanted to show you the rolling. This is for all of MRED. This is what we call our market snapshot. And you can see last week was up from the week before, but that, of course, was the July 4th weekend. This is the number of closed properties. And also the week before that was the end of the month. And, of course, the end of the month is always the higher number. People like to close at the end of the month. So last year during this week, 4,076 properties closed versus 2,700 this year. You can see we're just really rolling below. Under contract, fairly healthy given, I mean, look at it in February. We're pretty much similar to February here, which we felt was pretty good.
No, we felt, well, great for February.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
4,009 homes went under contract last week versus 3435.
You know, I wonder if people are starting to realize that interest rates are still low and properties are only rising in value, and it's time to buy. Don't wait a year or two. Put it off. Buy now. And I think people are getting comfortable with 6% interest rates, which are low historically.
Right.
So,
and we've dipped a little bit below that. I mean, you can get 5 something now, you know, with a good credit score. All right. So new listings, 6,658 versus 7,814. Inventories are increasing. We're still not at the 6-month mark. We're not overloaded with listings, but they are climbing. And then I just wanted to say for our sellers out there, the average number of showings on properties across the board is 3.9, like almost 4. So expect about a showing a week if you're on the market. That's it. That's what I've got for statistics.
I'm finding that at least in my market area, the one that I track really closely and for my listings, it's slow right now. Buyers in my slice of the market are out of town. We're busy doing other things.
We've talked about this. Yeah. Well, this is, you know, and nothing says it to me louder than Lollapalooza, which is going on next week. And they're putting up the fences now. And there's so many people downtown. There's so many tourists in town. People are on the lake. They're really enjoying the summer, fully enjoying being able to go anywhere they want to go. So don't you agree that adds to the...
Yes. And so sellers, any of you who are watching out there, don't be stressed. This is normal summer market activity because people have other things to do. Soon, right. For the first part of August, people will be getting ready to have their kids go back to school, go to college. They've got other things on the calendar. It doesn't mean that nobody likes your property. It doesn't mean it's not going to sell. It means the buyers are busy right now, but they will be interested really starting, I think, August 15th. I think we'll start to see a real uptick in activity as people are closer to ready now that other things have been taken care of.
Right. It'll be interesting. Typically, the fall market picks up the week after Labor Day, but we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. I'm thinking we're going to have a good fall market.
Oh, I think so.
I am. Yeah. All right.
Why should we ever have an open? First, why have an open house? Oh, this is one of the chief marketing opportunities for your property. is to hold an open house so that people can come see it in a no stress situation, a no stress environment, that it's just come in, take a look. You don't have to commit to getting a broker, to having somebody set up an appointment. You just can come. And
Right. So tell me, what's a typical open house in the city? When do they happen?
Yep. So an open house typically in Chicago, and we're not talking about the suburbs, because suburbs do things a little differently, typically happens over the weekend in the middle part of the day. So usually sometimes 10 to noon, 11 to 1, noon to 3, 1 to 3 or 4. It depends on it. It's usually 2 hours. Sometimes it's 3 hours. But it's and they'll hold it often the first week of a listing going live, and they'll hold it both days. That's the way you capture the people who are available on Saturday but not Sunday, or Sunday but not Saturday. And that's typically when it's held. What do you do it at other times, Anne? Do you ever do it during the week?
I don't. I do special brokers open houses, but I don't do a public open house during the week. And I know that the suburbs do, but I just don't find that to be effective.
Yeah. People are working. Yeah.
Right.
Those with work from home, maybe it'll change in time, but not now.
Right. So, right. So who can come to an open house, Kyle?
Anybody. So these are people who should come to an open house. It's really anyone who's interested in the property. So potential buyers, and then if young people who are sort of thinking in the next year or so they'll be ready, people who are starting to get ready, starting to think about it. So potential buyers, potential sellers who are checking out the competition. You want to know, how good is my property compared to the other stuff that's on the market? So
yeah, right. So if it's in your neighborhood and you're thinking you might list in the next year, check out open houses to see what those homes are like. And then of course, just nosy neighbors come in, right?
And that always drives the seller crazy, but it shouldn't, because they'll tell their friends.
Yes.
Oh, come live near me. There's this really cute house. So encourage the nosy neighbor is my view. They're not bad people. They are perhaps the best way of getting the word out, other than through all the social media stuff we do. Right. And also just the general public. Sometimes people are interested in real estate or the neighborhood, and they're checking it out. They're before thinking about buying, but just interested.
Or maybe thinking about housing stock, like what does a duplex down look like? What does a townhouse in this area look like? What does new construction in this area look like, right?
Absolutely. Other agents will come because they're also interested in seeing what the property in the neighborhood looks like, because they've got a new potential listing. So that sometimes they'll come checking things out, or checking it out for a potential buyer who can't come.
Right. So have you had the experience that I have, that sometimes people come in and they might as well have their hands out like this, because they're like, don't get too close, don't ask questions, leave me alone. It's like being in a clothing store. I'm just browsing. You get that?
I do get that. So all you people who go to open houses, here's some tips on doing it in a way that will make it unstressful for you and unstressful for the broker who's holding the open house. So one, expect to sign in with your real information. The reason we ask you to sign in is for our security, our seller's security, and your security. So just give us your names. I often put on my sign-in sheet, do you want to be contacted? To let people decide, don't contact me. Okay, I'll obey it. So or if you're concerned about somebody contacting you, write on there, please do not contact me. But do give your correct information. This is important. if brokers don't feel secure, they're not going to hold open houses. So
Right.
please give that information.
Right. And if you're working with a real estate agent, don't be embarrassed to say that right up front and tell us who it is because we can follow up with them. I mean, it's not going to hurt our feelings if you're working with somebody. Oh, I'm working with a realtor. Okay. If you are, good, great, welcome. Just let us know who it is if you don't mind.
Well, and that is, we actually prefer, that means you're farther along in the search. So please do, you don't have to tell us the name if you don't want to. And if you feel sort of like, if I say I'm working with a broker, they won't contact me. Well, you can just say, don't contact me. Don't worry about it. Our feelings will not be hurt. Be professional.
Right. Okay.
Expect us to follow you as you tour the property. It's our job to, one, make sure the people who attend open houses are actually looking at the property, not going through people's drawers, snooping, maybe stealing something. So, and we don't know that you're not perfect. So we have to be with you as you tour, as we would any other time we show the property.
And also, don't open things.
Yeah.
You know, I was holding an open house at my 1945 Mohawk, and their microwave garage is a little tricky, and somebody just goes up there and starts yanking on it. It's like, you know what? Before you start opening stuff and touching things, ask permission at the very least, right?
Or let us do it for you. And the reason for that is so there's no confusion about your motive. Say, would you open this for me? Absolutely. And it shows, it's very respectful to the seller's things. It shows you know what you're doing, and it makes everyone feel more confident of what's going on.
Right.
If you're coming with your family, stick together. If you split off and go into separate rooms and do separate things, it will make it very hard for the broker to keep an eye on everybody. And they really want you to stick together, if that's all right. So please do stick together.
And children. Let's talk about children very quickly. You know, your children are welcome at our open houses, but please prepare them not to touch things, to not run around, you know, to not open things. And we are more than happy, you know, to help you in that regard. But I've too many times seen children just go wild in a house. So.
Yeah, and if you come with your spouse, maybe the spouse stays outside with the kids and then comes in and tours after. Because really, you're only going to spend like 5, maybe 10 minutes tops in the property. So, you know, take turns if that's possible.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So be ready also to take off your shoes. You may not have to, and a lot of people give booties. But a lot of homeowners do not want shoes on their house, period. They don't do that in their own home, and they don't want you to do that. So I often find it's easiest to wear slip-ons.
Yeah, absolutely right. And again, just to summarize, if the broker asks you questions, please be honest with your answers. We don't mind if you're a neighbor. We don't mind if you're just beginning the process. And this open houses are a great way to learn about the marketplace as you begin your home search. But don't feel like you can't tell us in what stage of the process you are or why you're coming, right?
Absolutely. And we are very respectful of relationships, and we're very respectful of your preferences. So just be honest with us.
Yeah. Okay. All right. From the seller's perspective, how do you often get sellers saying, "Oh, I don't want to have an open house"?
Well, I do, but they're more concerned that we're not going to show the same level of security and care as we do during a showing. When I explain to my sellers how I do open houses, they're like, "Oh yeah, fine." So what do you ask your sellers to do to prepare? What do they need to do to prepare for that?
Well, they should prepare just like they're preparing for a showing. The house should be clean. It should not smell. You know, everything should be put away, especially put away your valuables, put away things you don't want people to see.
Go somewhere else. Don't sit here and watch, because that will only make you crazy. And
now here's a comment too. And we didn't mention this before, but sometimes people have cameras in their home, and they watch the people coming in. I had a seller once call me and say, "Who was that at the door?" I mean, they were so into watching everything going on. It creeped me out. But, people should go into a home thinking, it should be disclosed, but there could be a camera on them, and there might be audio. So
I tell my buyers when I go out with buyers, even to showings and to open houses, assume you're being videoed, assume your audio is being picked up. So just be, again, be straightforward in your answers, but also assume people are watching you.
Now, here's something that I tell sellers sometimes. So many people decide what home they want to look at based on the photographs, based on the location, based on their perception of the neighborhood or whatever. And open houses are a great way to go around the other brokers. If you're on a busy street, and some people, say, I don't want to be on a busy street, or if there's something about the location they may not want. Open houses are a great way to get people into a property that may otherwise dismiss it. So I would recommend that you be open to doing an open house if we advise you to do so.
Sellers should not expect, unless they have a very hot property type, like a bungalow in Rogers Park, that it will sell after the open house. Oftentimes, buyers need to process what they've seen, and they'll get around to it. So it does happen that right after an open house, you'll get a number of offers, but don't think there's something wrong if you don't. It could just be that your property is one that people are thinking about. So
that's a really good point. So we'll do a report for our sellers, but then they're like, what's the follow-up? What's the follow-up? Well, they need to think about it. They need to decide, if they want to move forward. People take time. From an agent or a new agent's perspective, what our recommendations are.
Well, so this is what I think about, and I think, and Ann, fill in with yours. I try to think about what's the most strategic time to do an open house to maximize attendance. And again, the most strategically beneficial time is in the first week or two of a listing, when the property is new on the MLS. Or if I can't do that, I'll do it after a price change. So if sometimes we do price changes through canceling and relisting the property, doing a new listing at the lower price, or we do a price change and you'll see it as price change on the MLS. And so that often gets people interested. Oh, let me go see that. So I try and do it strategically. What do you do? What do you like?
I totally agree with you at the beginning, definitely. If you're a new agent, you want to be totally prepared to do the open house. That means materials, mortgage information about the property. People are often, oh, I like this, but how am I going to pay for it? Right. So having all the materials, having as many answers as you can about the property. Goodness gracious, people, they're going to ask about the age of the roof, the age of the mechanicals. If it's in a condo, they're going to ask you about the reserves and the percent owner occupancy. Know what those are.
Yes. And agents put the open house, schedule the open house on the MLS. No later than Thursday. I like to do it as early as possible in the week, because you never know when people are looking at properties, and they'll see that, oh, there's an open house scheduled this weekend. Well, I'll go to that open house. So put it on as early as you can in the week so that people know to come.
Sign-in sheet. What do you do about a sign-in sheet?
Oh, I do a sign-in sheet, and I do include a section.
You do it on paper?
Oh, yeah. I do it on paper just because people are much more likely to type it correctly or write it correctly than type it in.
Wow, that's interesting. I do the opposite. I do it on an application. So, and I don't ask for a lot of information. I'm not,
You just ask them their email?
Their name and their email or phone, either one. I asked them during the conversation, how did you hear about the open house? But yeah, I do it for security. But again, I don't, they don't need to give me the name of their firstborn in order to get in the door. But I do keep.
Yeah, we keep track. And so one of the things that new agents need to do is, if they're doing it at a condo, is ask the association what are the rules the association has. During COVID, a bunch of associations instituted new rules for security. And they've kept those rules. You need permission. You need to do it only on X day, only during Y hours. You have to have a sign-in sheet. You have to give us a copy of the sign-in sheet. I don't know what the rules are for the association, but those are rules I have run into, and you'll need to check.
I have two listings right now that don't allow open houses, and one where I have to sit in the lobby and escort them up. So every building is different.
Every building is different. And if you are doing in a building that requires somebody to sit in the lobby, or you to sit in the lobby and then take people up, if it's going to be a busy open house, have somebody else come and be the person who's knowledgeable and who waits with the people who are coming while you're escorting somebody up. Because very often they only let you do one at a time. You can't get a big group of people to come up. And sometimes also when you do you want to do it one at a time, only because of the flow and being able to keep an eye on them. So think about that. If it's a house, I'd say right now, you definitely don't want to be alone in a house doing an open house. You will want one or two other agents or people in there with you on your team, so that you that everything is secure, and that it even makes, believe it or not, the people attending feel more secure, that there are people there, and it's alone in this house. So it's good from a security standpoint.
I have to make this one last point before we conclude our conversation on open houses, and that is, and I think you agree with me, when I do an open house, I don't put 40 signs out, because I don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry coming into my open house. For me, it's a security thing. I want people who have seen it on the internet, or maybe a neighbor, fine, but I don't want somebody from 4 blocks over who lives in a $250,000 studio to come into my $1.5 million single family home. And my sellers don't want that either. So I put a discreet open house sign so it's identified as an open house, but I'm not, those agents who are putting 40 signs out, they are trolling for buyers. They're the kind of people that do spam you, trying to get you to be their buyer. And that's not.
Or to be fair to them, because I agree with you, but in the olden days, before everything was on your phone, I'm holding up a version of my phone. Before this, way people found open houses, they walked the neighborhood.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen anymore. Yeah.
We're out of time.
We are, but let me say one last thing. I keep thinking of one last thing. I could talk forever about this. If you're interested in open houses, let us set you up with an app. We have a couple of really good real estate apps that will let you know what the open houses are. So to Kyle's point, you use that phone to its advantage.
Absolutely.
I had a really great segment on photos, but you know what? Let's do our next show on photos. I'll do the interiors, you do the exteriors. What do you think?
I think that'll be great. And we're off next week because Anne is taking a well-deserved vacation.
A little long weekend, but yes. And great to see you, Kyle, as always.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.